Hey folks, thank you so much for joining. My name is Siddharth. I'm a community manager here at Avial. At Avial, we're trying to help open source projects sustain by creating a community around them, which helps in the growth of these projects. And we're also working towards forming a structure where we are able to find monetization avenues for these contributors that help in the growth. So this is a new series that we have come up with. This is being called the Open Source Software Spotlight. This is where we get in maintainers of several open source projects, hear from them about their journey and what their project is about and where exactly are they looking for help and things like that. Everything around open source is what we're trying to do here. For the first episode of OSS Spotlight, we have Subin. Subin is a software engineer at Big Binary, and he's also taken up the role of a maintainer at Varnam. And most of you guys might have known of him from the Wordle that he built. So he used Varnam, which is an open source offline transliteration tool. He used that to build he used that to build Wordle in his native language. So Varnam at this point supports most Indian languages. So you can, if you get a hang of how Varnam works, you'll be able to scale that to your native language too. Without much ado, I think I'll pass this on to Subin. Hey, Subin.
Okay, cool. So, hello. I'm here to talk to you about a project that I've been working on I've been using and working on for. So it's called Varnam. It's a type for offline translation, basically. So I've been coding for like past 10 years now, and mostly out of curiosity. And my first contribution to Varnam was in 2017. It was a simple README fix. Why I started contributing to Varnam was I have a computer. I wanted to type my own language in my system, but the problem was there wasn't much tools for it to allow that access. So I wasn't able to write Malayalam on my system easily. So the existing tools at the time was all very complicated to learn. There was a steep learning curve for such tools. And the only project that I found was Varnam. Let me start the GitHub project. So I found this tool in a GitHub random repo like this. And I saw that there were these two people who have been contributing to it. And there is this thing called libvarnam. Okay, so I just randomly found this GitHub project, what's happening. So this thing was the first thing that I found. And from it, I realized that you can use it to type Malayalam on your system, which is fine. So if you look at the commit history, the first commit I made to this was in 2017. So I found this repo, and the README wasn't very fine. So the README was like simple basic things in it. So it wasn't really beginner friendly. For example, if you need to install libvarnam on your system, you would need to compile it yourself. So just a random check.
Yes, all good, Subin.
Yeah, I mean, there's some internet bugginess because this page is taking some time to load. So I was just wondering. So let me know if it gets broken in the middle or something. Okay. Yeah. So
Sure.
So this was the project at the time. It was a very big, large project. It was a C project, and the README was just like install this, compile this yourself. That was it. That was what Varnam was at the time. So it was kind of a new beginning for me. Even though I have used Linux for many years, it was kind of still new to me. So I tried this. It was very tedious to get this set up and working, and how to get this whole thing was very clunky to get started into Varnam. And so the first commit I made to Varnam was this. So it was just a README fix. So there was a way to like. So I'm going to show Varnam. That I think that would be the best way. So basically, what Varnam is, you can type your language like this. So this is Malayalam. Malayalam is an Indian language. It's the language that I want to type. So I will just type in a Romanized English version, and I will get suggestions like this, autoboard suggestions. And by using this, I can type my language easily. Like this. So by that way, I can type my language easily on a system. It is. So that was basically Varnam. And you should know that when I type this word, I can get suggestions, right? So these are word suggestions that I get from this. So this is basically a list of set of words that you need to get. So what Varnam at the time had was that this wasn't mentioned in the README at all. So I basically added that into the rig. So that was my first contribution to Varnam. After that, this was in 2017 June. After that, I've been using Varnam. There were some bugs here and there, but it was still usable. So that's how I got started. And then okay, I will get back to the history later. So I'm going to first show the practical use cases of Varnam. So the first one is the input method, which I just showed before. I can just go to any window, like this is a simple text editor. I can switch my language over here. So Linux has this input method system. So this is English, and Malayalam we have Varnam. And with this I can type here. There are other input methods too, like emojis. So to type emoji, I can type here like this, and I will get an emoji. So that's an emoji suggestion. Then there is another suggestions input methods too, but these are the three primary things that I use. So I'm switching back to English and I can type here. So that's the first practical use case of Varnam, to have an input method. The next practical use case is to have large data conversions. And by large data conversions, I mean that, so this is OpenStreetMap. OpenStreetMap is like a free software version of like a world global map with open data, open editing, and like you can do anything with OpenStreetMap, the data from OpenStreetMap, without any limitations that the proprietary map systems have. So one requirement we know OpenStreetMap we want. This is all crowdsourced data. Like people in communities around the world contribute to OpenStreetMap. So one thing that was needed was that, so this is a place in Kerala in India, this place. So there is this English name in the map. So we needed the local version of this name. So to have that to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 places in Kerala, to do that, you would need an automatic tool, right? And so Varnam can be used to convert this to the Malayalam form and to the Tamil form. So this is possible with Varnam now. So for the second use case would be large data conversions like this. And the third was the games part, which I have never thought in the last 5 years at all. And all of a sudden there's this new game popping up on Twitter, Wordle, and people have been playing it. I found it very awesome. Like you can only play once in a day, right? So that was very fun. And I like the whole concept of Wordle. And I thought, English can have Wordle. Can it run on my language too? Can it run on my Malayalam language too? But the problem was that English language has letters, right? Like this is one block of letter. But for Malayalam, that is my language, and for other Indian languages, this is not possible, because Indian letters or Indian language letters are not block based. So you will have like combinations of letters. That's how Indian languages work. So to override this problem, I realized, wait, I already have a transliteration project, Varnam. So why not just use that and make a Wordle on myself? So that's what I did. So I'm going to show Wordle right now. So people, after Wordle started showing up, people started making Wordle clones all around. So there were like React clones, Vue clones, and so on and on. So this clone was made by Ivan, the creator of Vue.js himself, and he open sourced it on GitHub. I found that it was very easy to start hacking on Vue 3, and I implemented the transliteration part. So if you look at this, I can just type my language, and similarly what you saw here before in the editor, you can just type here and you will get the suggestions, and I can fill in a word. And that's how Malayalam Wordle was born. And if you look at the network tab, you can see that on each keystroke, there is a request going to Varnam. And so this is a large, this is a very computation density process to figure out all the transliteration, which I will come back to on later. So that's Wordle. So to give a overview of how much popular Wordle got, so I started Malayalam Wordle on January 26th, and after that, the Twitter is the main source of users. So per day, like 2,500 people visits and 3,500 page views. So like about 1,600 people completes the game. By completing the game, I mean that they would fill in 6 rows and finishes the game. And about 1,400 people somehow gets the word right. So approximately 5 to 15 requests per second is obtained on each second. So how this thing is like, so on each keystrokes, there would be a request to the server. And if like 10,000 people play at it once, like at a single time, there will be many requests to the server. So that's a very computation density problem. But better than I hoped. It actually worked out really well. The server doesn't have much load. You can see that the output from the server is very fast. Like instantly you will get the result like this. So the server is hosted in Hyderabad, and so the latency issue from the players in India is okay, and it's very fast. That like it actually surprised me too that it was working this well, and so people find the game good, and I've been getting good reviews from the game. Okay, so I'm going to get into a bit about how Varnam works, and for understanding Varnam, you need to understand two basic things: phonetic based transliteration. So what transliteration means basically is you will have an English, or for example, in this case, we will have an English version of the language written using English letters, and we will convert that to the language that we needed. So converting from one script to another script. So from English script to Malayalam script, from English script to Hindi script, and for Chinese, there's this thing called Pinyin. So Pinyin is like a romanized version of Mandarin Chinese. So people in China use Pinyin to type on their mobile phones or on desktops to type Chinese. And for different languages, there is this different types of transliteration schemes available. For Arabic, there is ALALC, and there are many more transliteration schemes available. And a clear example of this is you will type this word and you will get a Malayalam output this. So that's what transliteration means. It's called phonetic based transliteration because it is according to the sound. So En is pronounced as N, A, Endanu. That's basically, this is kind of pronounced like Endanu, right? So that will be exactly the output. So this will be also pronounced in the same way. And the next terminology is the input method. So input method that I've shown you before is this thing. So you type something, you will get suggestions, and you can it will help you to input words. It will help you to input things. So that's what this basically is. So this is for an emoji input method, and like before I showed you the Varnam input method, I can type as well. So this is what an input method. So this thing is available in all operating systems. So Windows will have its own implementation, Mac has its own implementation. You can find about input methods, and you can see that there are many input methods available. So you can just click on a Google search and you can find that there are many input methods available, and non-English languages are mostly written on computers using an input method. For example, Japanese, Chinese people has very different implementation of input methods for different operating systems. Okay, so that's transliteration. So to an alternative of Varnam that's popularly used in my place is Google Input Tools and Sonaleka. So let me try Google Input Tools. So Google has this input tool for the last 10-15 years. So this is what most people use. So there are many languages available in Google Input Tools. I'm going to pick Malayalam for now. And similarly, like you saw what Varnam did before, this will also give the same suggestions. And there we go. Google Input Tools works. That's simply what Varnam does too, but in an online version. Okay, and then there is Sonaleka. Sonaleka is also a free software. It's also a FOSS project, which is similar to Varnam. So I'm going to compare with Google Input Tools, Varnam and Google Input Tools. So Google Input Tools basically deprecated this whole thing. There was an API for Input Tools for transliteration, but they basically deprecated that since 2011. And they had an offline input method. They had a good offline input method that people use in Windows, but they also removed that, I think in 15 or something. There is Gboard, I think most are familiar with, for Android for typing, that has the offline input tools. And then there is the web app, which is this one. So people mostly use this web app, but you would need an internet connection for this. And then there is the offline version, which is a Chrome extension, but that's not really friendly because you can't type it anywhere. So with an system input method, you can type it in any place in the system as you want, and it's offline too. So Google Input Tools for Web, how it works is basically using a machine learning approach. So there's this one large model of words, and that's how this suggestion works. It's a machine learning model approach. It is not available offline for the desktop at least. There is the offline version for the mobile Android version that you can use to type, Gboard. And you can't type everything with input tools, because if the problem with the machine learning algorithm is that it will only know the words that it was fed on. Like it will only know the word from the data set that was fed out. It is only as good as the machine learning model that it was machine learning data set that it was used to make that model. So you can't type really anything. For the best example of this is that inherent slang terms. So the evolution of a language is like people make up new words, right? That's how languages work. You will make new words and so on. After years and years, there will be new words. When internet came, people started making their own words. So one popular word that's been used in the Malayalam sphere is "mone." So this is a internet term. This is an internet slang term. It is not a standard word in a dictionary. You will find in a dictionary. It's something like Urban Dictionary. I think you people know. Oh, that was not Urban Company, not Urban Dictionary. Okay, so Urban Dictionary is a best example of this. So these are words that are not traditionally English, but are new words and mostly from a internet slang terms kind of word. So like brocade. So this word didn't exist in English before 2010. So it's an internet term. But with English, this is not a problem because you can type BROCHET and that word will still be available to you to write, right? But for Malayalam, this is not possible because you are at the hand of the tool to suggest that word. Without that, you can't type it. For example, the word that I suggested before, Mone, is kind of typed like this, MVONE, but this suggestion is not available here. Why? Because the machine learning model doesn't know about this word because it's a new word. It's a new internet slang term that was only originated in about 2019 or 2018, and that input tool doesn't allow you to type that word because the model doesn't know. And it is not a free software, of course, Google Input Tools. Your pencil is in the hands of a company. So that's the best comparison that I make, because what you type on a computer is exactly like a pencil that you write on a paper. You should have full control of that pencil, right? You should have full control of whatever you can write on pencil. You shouldn't have to wait for the software to update to get that word really. With a pencil, you have to you should be able to write anything without any limitation at all. And I think one precondition for that, it should be a free software. It should be an open source software, because on that way you own your pencil. You absolutely own that pencil. And then there's the possibility of data collection. Whatever you type on this will, like I shown before, whatever you type here will get sent to Google. It needs to be processed on the server and then it will come back. Let's say try a different word. See how when I type each keystroke, I will get new suggestions because this thing needs to be sent to the server. So there would be some data collection involved to improve the model, of course. So the pencil also sends data to someone else. Then there's Sonalega. Sonalega is also a free software, just like Varnam. The difference is that it's a letter-based transcription thing. So it's letter by letter, not a word thing. So you will type one letter and it will give the corresponding Malayalam letter. It has all the good things of a free software. It's fast. You can type anything. Unlike Google Input Tools, you can type anything with Sonalega. And it has an algorithmic approach, like each letter to letter based. So la will be la, kind of like that. And that's the website, sonalega.smc.org. So the features combined together for Varnam is that it's just like a pencil. It's offline. You can always carry it with you. It's just like a pencil, yeah. Varnam learns. So where did mention there's another feature of Varnam. This is not like machine learning. This is not machine learning at all. It is kind of like machine learning because machine learns the word, but not the other machine learning that people most commonly talk about. This is a learning system. So let me show you an example. I'm going to type in a new word. For example, let's type. So this is a new word. Like the dictionary doesn't know this word. So I'm going to pick this second option here. When I pick the second option, note that it is not suggested before. Like if I type in before, that word is not suggested at all. But when I pick that, Varnam will learn that word. And from the next time I type, it should be coming. Yeah, there we go. That suggestion has now arrived in this version. See this. That is the suggestion that the word that I made before. So now Varnam suggests that. So Varnam has his learning system. You type in more words, Varnam will learn that word, and the next time you start typing that, you will get that suggestion. So Varnam learns this. I will show you the preferences of Varnam. So there is this entire collection of the words that is recently learned. So this word just got learned, and I can unlearn that word too. If I don't want that word to sustain in the Varnam dictionary, I can remove that. So if I there's also another, if I press like Control Delete, that word can be unlearned. So I'm not getting the suggestion anymore. See, there's no suggestion. That suggestion has entirely gone. And if I make it again, I will then later get that suggestion back. Okay. There we go. That's a word just got learned, and I can unlearn it. So that's basically Varnam. So it has a small dictionary inside, and that dictionary will learn the words too. And it remains on your device. That's the main point. The dictionary remains on your device. There is no data collection involved. Everything happens on your device. No connection with the internet. Nothing anonymous at all. And Varnam gives the right Unicode. So this is an interesting part of the here. So whatever an input tool, you type it on some place, right? So the output should be exactly perfect. By perfect, I mean that the coming output from the input tool should be really good. And the best way to show this would be emojis. So let this page load. Oh, fine. So you have mostly seen country emojis, right? So I'm going to pick the country flag of India, and another flag I see, maybe let's say France, French flag. So I have two flags here, but actually this thing is not a single character. This is an emoji, but this is not a single character. If you look to the inside of these characters, you can see that it is basically I and N. So this is what the Unicode representation of this flag basically is. So this is I. This is I as in the emoji I. I think you people might have seen the emoji I, right? So this is I, the emoji I, and then the next one is the N. This is the emoji N. So we have two letters here, two emojis here. What if I combine these together? There is a space in between right now. If I remove that space, it will become a flag. So what happened here? Basically, the Indian flag that you see here, this emoji, is basically the combination of two characters. Two characters being I and N in the emoji state. So these are two Unicode characters, Unicode emoji characters that is used to make the Indian flag. So likewise, if I bring in the French flag here, there's a couple of France. Okay. So if I look at the character sheet, it is F and R. So basically, two characters joined together makes the French flag. So obviously, we won't notice that this is a two character. We will think that it is a one character. It is not a one character. It is a two character. And people won't realize this until they look up the Unicode, like the notation of the Unicode point. And this is one fascinating thing that I only found recently with the case of emojis. Likewise, the input tool should give the perfect output. The Unicode must be correct. If the output is not correct, then searching will be getting it will affect the searching. So if you search on Google search, if you search French flag on Google, it should give the correct results, right? And if the Unicode endpoint is not correct, the searching will be affected. You can't get the same thing. So if I do this in a text editor, maybe like in the search of the browser. So if I search F and R, the French flag, I should get the search correct, right? But what if I search the French thing, the F emoji? If I search the F emoji, I won't get the first character matched here. I will only get the F character matched here. So here's an interesting part. Here, Google actually separated that emojis here, F and R. You can't see the flag here. So basically, it should have been the flag here, but Google actually splitted that thing. And there's these nuances with the Unicode character. Yeah, there we go. There's a match here. You see how the first portion of this flag got matched? That's because it is the F character. This is the F emoji. So that's basically Unicode. So searching will get affected if the Unicode endpoint is not correct. I mean, the Unicode output is not correct. So you would obviously need the output to be perfect, especially for an input tool. And that's what I meant by write Unicode. The output should be perfect. And most importantly, you are in control. You are in control of your pencil. You should be able to type anything. The input method shouldn't limit on what to write. You shouldn't have to wait for developers to add a support of a particular word or a particular thing or anything like that. You should be in full control of your pencil. Your pencil shouldn't be at the hands of someone else. And that's basically Varnam project. So that's my main motivation in working on this project for my personal needs, basically, to type Malayalam on a system. So the underlying library is called GoVarnam. Why is called that? It's completely written in Go. So as I mentioned before, this was libvarnam, right? So this was written in C. Libvarnam was written in C. It was made by Navaneet in 2012. So basically, Navaneet started the project long back. That was when I was like 12 years old or something. I was very young at the time. So Navaneet released this project in GitHub. It got in active development till 2016. And later, I came to rewrite the whole thing in Go. So this is in C. It was kind of difficult to manage this because this is entirely in C language and it's difficult to maintain it. So I rewrote the entire thing into Go language. So that's basically it. So GoVarnam is basically a port of libvarnam with some core architecture changes. So that's how I got involved in this project. So this is the shared library. So what is a shared library? Shared library means that particular dependency, if it is a shared library, can be used by multiple programs. So there will be a one singular point. So this is the static shared library, GoVarnam.so. So this library file can be used by multiple programs to use Varnam. So that's what is called shared library. And because of that, I can use this in any system as I want to. So there is a web app which is written in Vue.js and Go. There is an API server. There's one for Linux, there's for Mac, and for Windows we need help. So all of this is possible to be a cross-platform application because Varnam is a shared library. So let's see the web app first. So the web app also runs similar to the Moodle thing. So there's an API server available, and if I type here, I can get the session similarly. And there are currently 14 Indian languages supported here, but I only know Malayalam, so I only work on this Malayalam part. But if there are people who want to work on the other languages, you are free to contribute. Yeah. So this is basically like it goes to an API server, it gets a result, and that's how this thing works. It's written in Go, the server backend, and the front-end client is in Vue.js. Then there's an API server, so that's what basically powers the game and the editor. I'm just going to go to this URL. If I go to this URL, I will get the transliteration output of this particular word. So I get the transliteration output here. If I go to ATL, I can get an advanced output. This thing is not available in Google Input Tools, the API of the Input Tools. You can get an exact word matches or different suggestions. So these things are a little bit into Varnam that I will not want to cover. Yeah, so that's the API server. It's written in Go. And then there's the input method engine for Linux that I previously shown the demos. So this is the input method for Linux. Then there is one for Mac, which I made last month. This also works fine, just like the Linux version. You can get the same thing on Mac too. Then there's the need for Windows. I don't use Windows, so I have no much experience in Windows application development. So I would need contributors that if you need to work this thing on Windows, then free to join. Yeah. So then there's also a desktop app which is currently not maintained well, but it's also a possibility. The possibility that it can run on Linux, Mac, and Windows is because Varnam is a shared library. And then there is the Android keyboard version, which is currently being worked on. It has not been released yet, but it's currently integrated with Indie Keyboard, which is also a free software keyboard. Okay, now I'm going to get a bit into how Varnam works. Just very brief overview. So there are two parts in Varnam. One is a tokenizer and another is a dictionary. So basically what tokenizer is that it makes all possible words from an English input. Meaning that suppose this is a word. So this is a word, you see CHA. So this is a long word and you need to translate this whole thing into Malayalam, like this target word. So what Varnam does is that it will search for this thing, like the longest pattern matching. So this is CHA, which is basically cha. It's pronounced as cha. So this is one cha, but in Malayalam there's like 8 different chas. It's like the same sound. It's like a similar sound, but different letters. So the possibilities from CHA would be 8 to 1. And from LA, which is pronounced la, there are 4 las in Malayalam, 4 different types of las with slight variations in sound. And likewise, there are many other characters. And so, from this simple word, there are like 48,384 combinations that can be made. That's a long number. That's a long list of combinations. And it's very computationally intensity to find these many characters, right? That's the 2 on one keystroke. You type one thing, it has to find that. So if you type a long word, it will have to find all those 48,000 combinations. So to tackle this problem, what Varnam does is it eliminates some parts, only picks the most needed ones. So there's some algorithmic optimizations inside to make it as fast as possible. So performance is a very important thing in an input method. That's basically what I want to show. So these are all the possible tokens, like possible words formed from that sense. This is just a sum of only a little part of that long 48,000 list, just some parts. So Varnam will make this tokenizer suggestions. And the next thing that it does is that from the tokenizer input, you will get a long list of words, right? You will simply search that into a dictionary. That's it. That's how Varnam works. You get all the possible outputs, you search in a dictionary, and you will get a matching word. So here there is a matching word, you have an exact word, Chalakudi Iluru. That exact word can be obtained from the dictionary. And that's basically how Varnam works. And there is also a pattern dictionary. So if you want Varnam to output an exact thing, like you have college and you have to exactly output it in the same thing, like one-to-one mapping of words can be done with Varnam. So I can show you an example from the dictionary standpoint. So the dictionary is stored in .local share Varnam names. So this is where Varnam stores the dictionary. So it's basically a simple SQLite database. It's a simple database. And from here, I can see there are some patterns here. There are many words here. So these are all the words stored here. There are about 200,000 words in this simple dictionary. Many words here. So Varnam has to search on all these words before it can make some suggestions. And let's try one thing. So I saw 2 examples of college and India, right? I'm going to make another example here. Let's see, new word. Okay, I'm going to open a terminal. Let's train some word. I'm going to train like France maybe. I'll write France and I will fill in the Malayalam of that. And I will paste it and it will get trained. So whenever I type France now, I will get the exact output here. So let's try it out. So let's look at the DB. So if I refresh this, you can see that a new entry has been added, France, which is pointing to the word 1203. So if I type France anywhere now, let's see this browser, and you will get the suggestions. France. And that's how Varnam's pattern dictionary works. It's basically simple. There's no machine learning or anything, just simple algorithms, a simple tokenizer, a simple dictionary. That's it. Varnam can also find partial words and tokenize on it. Like partial words as in if we have one particular word, it can make newer words from that. So this is something that is applicable to Malayalam only, not a general language thing. But Varnam can make new words too. So that's one main thing of an input. So let's see an example. Custard for so pronoun. So So let's go to the DB. There's a language DB available. So that's how Varnam tokenizes. So there's another database. There's another database for making the tokenizer thing. So I'm going to write a simple SQL query, select from symbols where pattern is to. So for custard, we will start with custard, the whole word. I have no suggestions. If I have cust, KST, I have nothing. How about KS? I still have nothing. When there's KA, then we have K. There we go. We got the first match. So for the first match, what we did is KA, K. We output that here. KA, K. There are two possibilities. And likewise, I saw in that previous chart, there can be multiple possibilities for the same thing. So this another possibility, and we will make all those combinations and we'll find which one is available in the dictionary. So we have K, and next what Varnam does would be to go to the next pattern. So K is completed. Next will be star or star, whatever, and we will find until we get a combo ST. Maybe nothing. There's nothing in S. S. Yeah, we got one match. We will add the SAR together here, and likewise we will find the whole word. That's how Varnam tokenizes a word, and we will get the final output as custard. So that's basically it's basically simple SQL database. That's basically the core of Varnam. Let's see Model demo. Okay, so Model has it. We have the previous word here. I type in another one. We got 5 API requests to the server, and then let's try. Let's try the word. I don't know what today word is. Let's try to find it out. Okay, let's try. Okay, maybe I should be getting better at this game. Okay, so that's basically how Varnam works. You will have the each endpoint. I mean, each keystroke would give it to a server. So that's the complex part. You need the server load to be as minimum as possible. So thanks to being it written in Go, it's super fast. Like there is basically no server load at all, even with 2000 some players every day. Like at the peak time, that's maybe 10 p.m. The server is still fast, and there's been no worries at all for now. And that's basically my talk about Varnam and everything. So non-code contributions that you can do is basically using Varnam and giving feedback on it. Documentation is something that is currently lacking, kind of. So that to improve that would be nice. And tutorial videos. By tutorial videos, I mean like how to install Varnam in Linux or how to install Varnam in Mac. That kind of tutorial videos would be nice for people to install the software. And after all, the final thing would be to, if you want your language to be supported in Varnam, to have your own offline transliteration tool, like maybe even make Wordle in your language. So I saw recently in a tweet, like people are liking the Malayalam Wordle, and they would like if someone built in Hindi or Marathi. Like likewise, if we need Wordle in our language, it's better to have an open API, right? Instead of relying on a proprietary service. So likewise, there are many ways to contribute to Varnam. Yeah, so that's it. If you want to contact about Varnam project, these are the places that you can contact to. We have a public group in Telegram, metrics as well, and then there's the website varnamproject.com. From the website, you can download for your systems as well. So there is currently Linux and Mac versions available. Windows haven't been worked on it. Yeah. So that's it. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much for that. I know this is a little different from what we've been doing, and this is a little different on the whole sense because it involves a lot of language related concepts and everything. But yeah, trust me, Subin has done a very good job in simplifying things as much as possible, because I remember the first time I got on a call with him, I was confused on the whole. Then he came down to the level that I would understand, and that's where we reached here, and he's put a lot of effort in this. Thank you so much, Subin, for that. But if you guys have any questions, maybe this would be a time you can unmute yourselves and ask while they ask their question. So Subin, do you want to quickly show them that all of these letters that you have put together for other languages have been contributed by other people? I remember you showing me some people's names the people who have contributed for each languages?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. So one thing is that uh, people contributed to the language as in by, like, these are the people who contributed by uh, like not knowing any programming at all. So these people contributed to Assamese, Bangla, likewise many languages, by without knowing having any programming ability at all. So they basically looked at other languages, how that was formed, and they basically, so what basically people needed to contribute to Varnam was the basic knowledge of the language as in not the programming language but the vocal language itself. So these people contributed all these schemes to Varnam, and that was before I started contributing to Varnam, but these people all did it without any programming help at all. So it's possible to include your support for language, because I can't work on this software without knowing the language. Language is a core thing. So I would obviously need, like, even if for the programmer's perspective, you will need people to know the language before making it work. I can make a Wordle for Malayalam because I know the language. I can't make a Wordle for Hindi or Tamil because I don't know the language. Yeah. So you can make your own Wordle too, in a way. Yes.
That's right. So yeah, the reason I wanted him to share this was because you don't really have to get into code to be able to contribute to this, but if you can say form character sets for your language, this is like he mentioned, there are about 40 or 14 languages, if I'm not wrong, that are already supported, Nepali also being one of the languages that's supported here. But then if you find that your language isn't supported here, you can always come get in touch with Subin and then have character set built for that. And that's where you can now start by forming your Wordle. I mean, that's where your journey of having Wordle in your language would work. For the tweet that Subin showed, somebody wanted to have a Hindi Wordle and a Marathi Wordle. Hindi and Marathi is already out there. If any of you guys want to give it a shot, you just will have to get some logic of how words are formed in a particular language. The backend is already there. So that's how things will work for you if you want to do Wordle. Any questions around this? Feel free to unmute yourself, or there's this channel called Stage Chat that's right above the voice channel we are at, and there's a stage, and above that you'll see Stage Chat. So if you have any questions, if you feel you cannot unmute yourself, you can put your questions there, or anything casually if you want to ask Subin. This might be a really good time to do. Cool. I'm guessing we did a really good job explaining it to them. There are no questions at all. But yeah, Subin, can you go back to the slide where you have your socials and everything mentioned so that people can make a hold of this? Cool.
Yeah. So these are all public groups that you can join.
Yeah, I have one question. So, like you made the Vue.js app, right? And you showed the web request going out, and you also mentioned that Go library and things. To be honest, like I only stopped exploration at the Chrome DevTools side after seeing the request. I mean, that itself was quite amazing. But I was wondering, like have you tried to see if you port that Go library to run in WebAssembly and have it all run locally?
That's a really good question. I had the same thought. I was kind of hoping that without having the server at all, why not just run entirely locally? So that's something that I've been attempted. But the problem with this thing is that currently the library depends on SQLite via Cgo. So with the Cgo dependency, you can't compile it to WebAssembly. So that's a limitation right now. So currently SQLite is a core factor of Varnam. Without SQLite, there is no Varnam at all. But SQLite compilation to WebAssembly is possible in a library called SQL.js. So there is this thing, SQL.js, which basically allows you to run SQLite on WebAssembly. But with Go together, SQLite does together with Cgo, is currently not possible for WebAssembly. But there is another method without having Varnam at all to have SQL.js and port Varnam entirely to JavaScript. There is that possibility. I haven't explored that far, and it's a very tedious job too. But that's actually a good idea to have everything in client side.
Thanks a lot for answering that. I guess, yeah, I mean, SQL, I guess, like, you're right that, since web storage doesn't have the capability to have some arbitrary, database drivers and all running. But yeah, I mean, it would definitely be interesting to see, like, if there was a way to get that done. But yeah, thanks a lot for sharing those insights.
Yeah, I actually wanted to do, because I wanted to reduce the server load. But then there's a problem of like some systems, mobile browsers are not behaving well to the WebAssembly, like the processing on everything on the client side. So that's something I'm concerned to. With currently a server, there's no problem. But if in the future that this is going to be a trouble for the server, then maybe entirely going into the client would be a good idea.
I see. Like, are you planning to open source the Embodial app as well, like, and the server side part also, which I assume you must have written in Go itself?
Yeah, it's all open source. Everything that I work on, this thing is open source. So that web server is Varnam. Yeah, this is the API server.
Oh, awesome.
So it's currently fast because there's a good caching system available. So the requests are kind of like 30 ms, 40 ms. That's it.
I
You
see.
can find the API server.
Understood. Thanks a lot.
Based on curiosity, I'm hoping you guys will come up with something new, and hopefully we'll not have servers in the future. But yeah, thank you so much for that question. Anybody else, if you have a question, maybe we'll take a minute more because we're already out of time. Cool. I think we don't have any more questions. So the websites that Subin showed you, most of that I've already shared in the stage chat channel. I've also shared a screenshot of where you can get in touch with Subin and the community, and where you can find the project on the whole. Subin, if you think there are other links that relate to what you were trying to say, please feel free to post it there after the talk.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much, Subin, and thank you so much, all of you, for joining. I hope this was something different from what we've been doing all this time, and this gives you an idea of the endless possibilities that we have with open source. Thank you once again for joining.